Bree with BS in the afternoon here on Hits 105.5, and it is one of my favorite segments of the day. It is Advice with Scott the Car Guy. Did you like that?
Well, that's okay. I mean, it sounded pretty cool.
Yeah, it was like, it's one of my favorites. That or the... But it's just way too long.
Yeah, that was pretty long.
It's an air horn. Of course it's supposed to be long.
But I should have came in and going like, rah, rah, rah.
Yeah, exactly.
I could have done that.
So, Scott, how are you today?
I am good. How are you doing this wonderful Friday?
I'm doing wonderful. I am ready for the questions. So, I have plenty of questions for you today.
I have 4,000 answers.
Woo! Okay. So, before I got my Jeep, I had a Honda Civic. Or maybe a Honda Accord. No, I had a Honda Civic. I don't know which one I had.
Was it a two-door or four-door?
It was four-door.
Because people say that girls have 2 doors and boys have 4 doors.
I have 4 doors because I have a kid, so I had to.
Had to have 4 doors.
Yeah.
2 doors are sportier.
Yeah. I'm like momming it out over here, so I have to have a 4-door.
Soccer momming it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I needed something with good mileage, so I had myself a little Honda. I can't remember if it was an Accord or not, but it was a Honda. Anyways, I went somewhere, got my battery checked, and they said that I had a bad battery.
Okay.
Even though, like, my car is still running, and I was like, okay, the battery light's on, whatever, it must be a bad battery, because that's what the man told me.
Okay.
And then I replaced the battery, and a couple days later, my battery light came back on. And it turned out that it was the alternator.
Yes.
And I had to have, like, this random guy fix my alternator in the middle of a night on a Friday because everything was closed and I wanted to get back home. That was before I moved to Sidney. And so I had been commuting about an hour every day.
Was that when you were living in, like, Europe? Like, were you commuting? Like...
Yeah, I was commuting from Poland. No, I was commuting from Salina.
Oh, really?
Which is like 45 minutes, but my babysitter lived like 20 minutes out of town. So I had to commute like an hour to drop the baby off and then come to town. It was horrible. It was a trip.
Sounds like a long trip.
Yeah, well, it's a super long trip when you don't have a car that's running.
Oh, yeah.
And the battery, I thought it was weird because I wasted all this money on a battery. And it turned out it was the alternator.
Right.
But there's no alternator light. It's just a battery light.
Right.
So how do you know the difference?
Okay, so the great misconception with that is that when people have the battery light come on, the vehicle's not charging the battery back up. So you're exactly right. So when somebody tests a battery and the battery tests bad, they will say, or people will say, hey, your battery's bad. And because it is bad, because the alternator's not charging the battery back up. So when you come to Best One or Sidney Tire, what we're going to do is we're going to actually do a test on the battery and the alternator. Because just like a flashlight battery, when the batteries go dead, if you don't have something to charge them back up, you're going to turn it on in the middle of the night when your power's out, and you're not going to have any light. You're going to be like, well, it's new batteries. Well, you got to charge them back up, and that's what the alternator does, is it charges the battery back up.
The alternator charges the battery back up.
Alternator charges the battery. So when your battery is fully charged and you put a test on it on the terminals, you should be about 12.6 volts is what it should read. And then once the car is running, the alternator should be running anywhere between 13.6 and 14.7 volts. And that's how you know the alternator is sufficiently charging the battery.
Oh. Well, what if you don't have one of those handy-dandy things?
You come to Best One Tire or Sidney Tire and you have us check it for you.
Do you need to make an appointment for that?
Not at all. If you walk on in and say, hey, can you test my charging system for us real quick? We'd be more than happy to go out and do that for you. No appointment necessary. You can just walk in. And
it's called a charging system?
Charging system test, yes.
Oh, that sounds so fancy.
Yes, it is. It's fancy for Fridays.
Yeah, it's Friday. And so we got to be fancy with our charging system.
Yes. So all the manufacturers, so like Ford, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, I mean, all of them will tell you that the car manufacturers have agreed upon an appropriate charging capacity. So that's where you get the 13.6 to 14.7 to have optimal charging.
Okay. Alternators are like Like a battery for the battery.
It's a battery for the battery.
Yeah, right?
As she's laughing at me. You guys should see her. She's making faces.
I just think that's very interesting because, do you know how much time and money I would have saved if I would have just gotten the alternator fixed in the first place?
Right. So if you go to a shop and a good reputable shop, all of the shops here in town, they're going to tell you we're going to test the battery and the alternator, and they're going to test them both because none of us want to sell you a battery if you need an alternator. We're just going to sell you the alternator. I don't need you to buy 2 products if you only need one. I don't think that that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless you buy shampoo and conditioner together in a bottle, then you can buy one thing.
That's a twofer.
Yes, that's a twofer.
I love a twofer.
But
a
if
good
not,
twofer is always a good time.
It is. So always check if the battery light comes on. Just be careful because what you're going to want to do if the battery light comes on, and I know that a lot of people, it's going to be hard for them to do this. In the summertime, the battery light comes on while you're driving, shut your air conditioner off, roll your window down just a little bit, shut your air conditioning off, and shut everything off. Because what it's doing is the air conditioning is pulling so much power that it's running the battery dead faster. And eventually, your car is going to shut off on you while you're driving, which we don't want that to happen.
Oh, so people should legit go get their battery checked as soon as that light comes on.
Yes, if it comes on and you're driving, shut your heat off if you can, shut your air conditioning off, turn power off to everything that you have that's not a necessity, so that way you can reserve whatever power you have left in your battery to get you home or to get you to a repair facility so they can check it for you.
Yeah, because then you're looking at a tow bill.
Correct. And if you're on the interstate and the sheriff's department, Sidney PD, those guys don't want to have you stuck in the middle of the road, and somebody have to try to push you out. Tow truck drivers might be a little while before they get there. It's just it's safety. We don't want anyone to get hurt or anything like that. So we want you to try to be able to make it somewhere, and that's why I give the advice: shut everything off. And if you can't get to a shop, pull into a gas station or a Walmart or stop in a parking lot and then call AAA if you have to.
Don't stop at a Walmart, Scott. I think you should know. People in Sydney aren't stopping at the Walmart right now.
Because of unknown reasons, yes. But in the parking lot, maybe away, I don't know.
I just try to get somewhere safe.
Yeah, try to get somewhere where you feel safe, yes. And if you can get to a repair facility, get to a repair facility. If you can't get to a repair facility, stop somewhere. Call me at Best One. Say, hey, Scott, I'm stranded on the side of the road. I'm stranded in a parking lot. And I'll tow your car for you. And I'll bring you to the shop. I'll have Brian Mantor come pick you up and bring you to the shop, and we'll take care of you.
I will say that when my brother got his car towed from my house to the shop, he was there within 15 minutes.
Was it Mantor? Was it Brian?
I think so.
Yeah, Brian's a really great guy. He's been in the community for a really long time. He does all of our tows for us. So if you ever need a tow, that's who we're going to send. We're going to send Mantor Towing out for you.
Well, then, yeah, it was definitely him.
Yeah, Brian does a really good, fabulous job. Great guy, great family man, all around.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, good. Shout out to him.
Shout out to Brian for towing for everybody here in town. Keep up the good work. Brian and Blaine and Jeremy.
Yeah.
He's got a new guy. I don't know his name yet. Apologize.
Sorry, new guy.
Yeah, I don't know your name, new guy. Sorry.
But we know you exist, and we appreciate you.
Yes.
Awesome.
So come see us if you have a battery light turn on, or let us get it checked out because we don't want to keep you, or we don't want to get you stranded anywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that.
Well, yes. Why is it sometimes when we come in and we talk, you always have a story about what we're going to talk about, like it's happened to you?
It's because I have the worst car luck. I want you to know. So hear this, okay? Between, I think it was a 3-week period, I've crashed 5 cars.
Like driving off the road or
No.
hitting something?
One was hitting a deer. One, I didn't crash. It just caught on fire on 75.
By itself?
Yeah. Because I didn't know that you were supposed to change your oil. I was young, okay?
Okay.
And then another deer ran into me. I'm not kidding. I was driving and it ran into the back of my brand new car. And then another one We got it from the dealership, and the steering wheel fell off. I don't go to that place anymore.
The steering wheel, while you're driving?
Yeah. Yes. It was horrifying.
Were you like, this is not NASCAR. I don't need to take the steering wheel off to get out of the car, guys.
And then one was like a crash. And so, like, I crashed. It was like storming on 75. And I
You spun off the road?
Yeah, I like flipped over. Yeah, it was crazy.
You should have like really good tires, and it would help you with that.
Well, now I'm more mature, and I know that I need to be safe on the road, so I have good tires, I have a good vehicle, and I make sure that my car maintenance is done appropriately, and I learn other neat things from you, so I don't have to like leave my battery light on forever. Because, like, let's be real, like, the story about the battery and everything, it took me a while before I went and replaced the battery. Like, the car was, like, not working by the time I replaced the battery.
Wow.
Like, but I definitely think that car safety is extremely important, and I don't want people to do what I used to do.
Right. Well, we've all been young, and a lot of us that don't have that mentor person to teach us what we need to know. That's why you come in and see us. And if you're not sure, you can always just call. I mean, it's free to make a phone call and say, hey, can you help me with this? There's no dumb question out there. We'd rather keep you safe and field a 5-minute phone call and make you feel better about yourself and what's going on than you winging it by yourself, because you're not alone. We're all out here to help. We're just a phone call or a visit away. You just have to take that step towards us, and we'll welcome you with open arms.
Absolutely. I think that's great. Thank you for being on the show today, Scott.
Well, thanks for letting me come in and bother you today.
Yeah, it's Friday.
Yes, it is.
Of course I did. Woo woo. All right, we'll be back on BS in the afternoon right after this. We're going to listen to Don't You Worry by the Black Eyed Peas.